there could be global economic fallout after one of China's largest real estate developers defaulted on its debts. A major credit rating firm says Evergrande defaulted on major bond debts. And now the question is, what will Beijing do? For more on this, I want to bring in Isaac Stonefish. He is a CBS News contributor and the founder of Strategy Risks, a firm that helps companies manage political and other risks when dealing with China. I find this fascinating. So there's been a lot of talk about Evergrande sort of leading up to this moment. Will they or won't they? We knew they were in trouble, but I think we need to start with the basics. What is Evergrande? How did the company end up in this position where they were sort of over leveraged and to the point where they cannot pay their debts?
Evergrande's one of China's largest property developers. They employed tens of thousands of people. They had property in basically every major city in China and a lot of the minor ones. And there's a lot of minor cities in China. I think it's something like they had property around 280 cities across the country. And they just got too big too quickly. Debt was very, very cheap in China. Evergrande got very over leveraged. And now they're in a situation where they just can't pay what they owe. And so it's fascinating to watch how exactly Beijing is both going to signal to the economy and to other companies, don't do what Evergrande did, while at the same time saying, the spigots are still on, you can still invest, we're not going to crack down too hard. So it's a fun balancing act and a pretty complicated one too.
So in reading about Evergrande, the question comes up in my head, is Evergrande too big to fail? Will the Chinese government step in? And then we hear that the governor of the People's Bank of China said that Beijing has no plans to bail out Evergrande. And then he later added that the short-term risks of real estate companies won't affect the market long-term, which is something that you were sort of suggesting. Hey, we're still open for business. Don't pay attention to this catastrophe over here. What is China doing to quell fears?
The only thing in China that's too big to fail is the Chinese Communist Party. Everything else, the party is very comfortable letting go as needed. So I think they are, sending in this way is a pretty affirming mixed message, which is that, Evergrande will fall gently and Chinese investors, as much as possible, especially mom and pop folks who actually bought apartments and are sort of left wondering what to happen, will be protected. And at the same time, this is it for Evergrande, but other companies will have room to grow. It's sort of how do you say it? It's a lot of different notes played at the same time in a not too discordant fashion.
Beijing sort of had their finger on this issue for a while. They've been attempting to sort of reel in developers by forcing them to shrink their debts. Some smaller developers have gone belly up because of this. They miss payments. So I guess the question is, now that one of China's largest real estate companies is caught up in this, could we see that policy of pulling back change a little?
We could. So right now, roughly 30% of China's economy is controlled by what are known as state-owned enterprises, which are arms of the Communist Party. And Beijing wants them to be more dominant in the economy. So I think we're still going to see more pain for companies that are private or nominally private or mostly privately owned, so that Xi Jinping, Chinese chairman, can feel like there's more room for the state to control the economy.
So then the other concern is, could there be a domino effect? I've listened to analysts sort of on both sides. Some analysts say, yeah, Evergrande is big, but it's not that big that there will be sort of a spillover effect in the rest of the world. And others say, oh no, this is the first domino to fall. And, by the way, there's a lot rotten in the Chinese economy. So, prepare for the worst. How are we to assess what's happening with Evergrande?
So famous last words. I really don't think this is going to be the domino effect that, when China catches a cold, the U.S., Southeast Asia, sneezes. I'm not worried that this is going to be what's happened. But frankly, these are so difficult things to watch and predict. And you and I could chat 6 months from now, and we could be at the precipice of a economic crisis prompted by Evergrande. So I'm going to vote no, but we will see.
I'm curious, is Beijing, though, looking into not just these development firms, but the banking, small banks? Are they sort of taking a hard look at the financial institutions in that country to ensure that they can sort of stand the test of time and they're healthy?
Beijing's priority is the sort of the what they would term or describe as the political loyalty of these firms as opposed to the economic health of these firms. So
Mm.
they are investigating them, but it's much more, are they going to advance what Beijing and Xi, Chinese chairman, thinks of as China's priorities? That's to them more important than will they default? Are they solvent? Are they adding value to the economy? So they are investigating, but if I were a private firm in China, I'd be a lot more worried about what Beijing thought of my political loyalty than what they thought about my balance sheets.
Wow. Isaac Stonefish, thank you very much.